This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you!
Boring. 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 Boring.
You gotta do it. Don't tell us what we're gonna feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're gonna feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's exactly what you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're gonna feel.
I call again for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, the return of the sausages, the hostages.
How can you make a mistake like that? Return of the sausages. Slightly insensitive. I'll leave it at that. Lembit Öpik here on Unprecedented TV. Lembit Öpik Live. So good you could join us. And today we are indulging ourselves by sharing with you a new appointment, opening up an entire continent for Unprecedented TV. Before I go into that and before I introduce her, thank you so much for your increasing numbers. Please, please, please subscribe to unprecedented.tv. Go to Unprecedented TV. If you're not sure where it is, if your search engine doesn't help you, then put Unprecedented TV Lembit. There can be only one. And you'll be joining an exclusive but growing group of people who think for themselves. If that's you, welcome to the organization of free speech. If it's not you, then move along, just watch the mainstream media. But I know that you're already here for a good reason. And that's very pleasing to me. And it's my honor and the honor of the many, many presenters we now have to try and give you the facts and kill the spin and tell it like it is as best we can. But let's get to the big news today. After months of negotiation, I can now reveal that we have a US director. She'll tell you her exact title and what she does. But this means that you, dear American friends, now have a tailored service, a voice at the very center of Unprecedented TV, which means that we will do what some of your mainstream doesn't do, which is tell you the stories as we see them, help you think for yourselves, and also take feedback from you too. And thank you so much for those of you who are now beginning to interact in a rather large-scale way with our programs. At this point, let me introduce to you the new director of something. Is Sarah E.V. Clark. Sarah, congratulations on your appointment.
Oh, thank you, Lembit. I'm very excited to join the team and to broaden the reach of Unprecedented TV. The U.S. could really use a voice like yours, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
Voice like ours. Get into the groove here. A voice like ours.
Yes.
You're on the team now.
A voice like ours, yes. It's really important for people to be able to get not only the real news, but news that allows them to make an educated opinion. And much of the mainstream media could be tilted one way or another. So I'm very excited to be part of a team that offers the real news for real people.
Can you tell us your name? You'll probably see it on the screen now, but can you tell us the name of your job? I know your name. Sorry, that was a ridiculous thing to say. The name of your job. What was decided?
Yes, the director of U.S. operations for Unprecedented TV. And as you stated, we have an entire continent to conquer and reach. So I'm excited to get started.
Population for population, that makes you 7 times more important than I am.
Hardly, but I will do my best.
Oh, you'll do great. Tell us a little bit about yourself before we talk about the nature of life, the universe, and everything.
Okay. I currently live in Dallas, Texas. Proud wife and mom to 5 kids. I have, how do I say this without sounding pretentious? I have 2 PhDs. I love health and wellness, but really right now I was looking for something that would just help me help more people and help me reach more people. And when the opportunity to work with you and Unprecedented TV came along, I jumped at it. So I'm really, really looking forward to just getting the news and getting a really solid view of the world to people who I really think are craving it.
I've been to Dallas once to experience the great darkness with you. Tell us about that.
Yes. I had the pleasure of meeting you face to face when you came to Dallas for the eclipse in April of 2024. And it was an amazing day. Like I knew that the eclipse was going to be historic, but when the world got dark, everything got silent. You could, the animals, the people, the birds, and there was just this amazing heaviness as you looked up into the sky and just saw a ring of fire. It was amazing to behold. And then, of course, Dallas did not disappoint. Later that day, we had a catastrophic hailstorm. So we wanted to impress you, Lembit. I hope you were impressed.
You did. This is one of the cars in that hailstorm, as I understand it, certainly in somewhere in Texas.
Yes, they were. I don't
to do that.
No, the hailstones were between a cricket ball and a baseball. They were very large.
And that's all damaged from hailstones. And this happens often?
It sadly it does. It does. We
sorry, go on.
No, we live in a very diverse area when it comes to weather. You know, you can have like storms and hail and tornadoes and windstorms, and then a couple hours later it's 100 degrees. It's amazing.
I have to say, when I was there, the eclipse was by far the most impressive thing. But a close second was just the sheer size of everything, including these hailstones. As I recall, when I was in your car, the windshield got bashed in. In fact, your car got bashed up quite badly, as I recall.
It did. It did. We I've never driven in hail that large. I hope to, like, knock on wood, never do so again. But it was definitely a storm to remember.
It was remarkable. I obviously had the impression it happens all the time. That's the first time I've been in Texas. I loved it. I have to tell you, if you ever want to go to America, you've got to include Texas. It's huge. It just thinks big. Everything is big there. And people seem to be what people in Britain are not. Happy. You seem happy. Why?
We try. I mean, we live in a pretty amazing state. I will admit, I'm not naturally born Texan, but I did marry one. So he got us here as soon as we could. And it's just the space, the people, the charm, people hold the doors for you, and, yes, ma'am, and yes, sir. And it's just, there's a really nice feeling to raising children and having a family here in Texas. And it's a good choice.
The team has a representation of the actual hailstones. Yeah, there it is. That is enormous.
Yes, they were huge.
It's incredible. Just the idea that the air currents are so strong that they can keep these things going up and down, getting bigger. I'll never forget that hailstorm. It was remarkable. And it was all because you wanted me to go to this wonderful Texan, what's it called, restaurant? It's more than that, rib place.
No, it's a barbecue restaurant. Of course, if you're in Texas, you have to go have barbecue. And we should have known something was wrong though when everybody in the restaurant left but us. Like, that shows you that I'm not Texan enough to know that.
Was it because of me? They left because of me. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, everyone else looked out the window and was like, this looks bad. And we were like, do you think it's going to rain? So that was my failing as a not true Texan. Apologies.
The speed at which you drove was quite remarkable, though. I was more scared of that than the hailstones, but I was wrong, because it was the hailstones that did the millions upon millions of dollars worth of damage to the city in it must have been about 45 minutes of it. Absolutely remarkable. Never seen anything like it. Also, sorry, go on.
No, I was going to, you did ask me numerous times if we should pull over. I
was afraid.
I was too, but there was no place to pull over. Like, everybody, all of the, the on-ramps and every place that had shelter, people were already in it. So we just kept going.
How much did it cost you to get your car fixed?
It was quite a bit, and they had it for 6 or 7 weeks. And
Was it
I was-
thousands?
Thousands, yes. And when they told me like 7 weeks, I'm like, are you sure? There were so many cars. Like the lot was full, and it's like, take your number and wait your turn. So
Let's see if we can get a free meal from the place you took me to. What was the name of the restaurant?
it was Mesquite Barbecue. I think, I just drove by it today, actually. Yes, Mesquite Barbecue. They've been doing barbecue since 1959, and trust me, they do it brilliantly.
Look how impressive my team is. They've got this photo. You may have had something to do with that.
Oh,
You've been
nice.
talking to my team. Is that the place?
They're a pretty fabulous team, and they're fun to work with. So yes, I have been in correspondence with your team.
Great food. If you go to, we have to ask them to do some advertising on Unprecedented, because we're telling the world, if you go to Dallas, go to Mesquite Barbecue. Absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. It was worth your car getting bashed up. Though, if you think about it, that means that meal was about $30,000.
It was an expensive meal, but it was worth it.
It was just great, and I really enjoyed it. Of course, I know we're digressing a bit, but I want our viewers to know the great team that we've got. Of course, I was there for the total solar eclipse, and that was an extraordinary thing. I said to you, from my knowledge of the thing, that all the birds, the weirdest thing, all the birds would go quiet. Everything would seem to go quiet, and it did. Animal life thought it was nighttime. Human beings were in awe, and the wind. Do you remember the wind stopped as well somehow?
Everything stopped. It's like literally kind of like the world stopped and held its breath. Well, yes, and that's exactly how it looked that day. It was astonishing, and just like the sheer number of people that came out to see it, and all ages, from very, very young to the very old. It was truly a once in a lifetime experience that I'm very glad that I was a part of.
Well, it was great that you were there, and I was grateful for the invite as well. And I think everyone should see one total eclipse. That's the second total eclipse I've seen in my adult life. The first one was in the southwest of England. I think it was in 1999, but it was cloudy. Oh. And the other miracle was it was cloudy in Dallas until about half an hour or even 20 minutes before the eclipse. Suddenly, the skies cleared.
It did.
It was all blue.
I was worried.
It wasn't your fault, was it?
No, but there were hundreds of people there to see the eclipse, and I was like, "Oh, it's a little cloudy."
Well, you could organise the party, and we'll talk about that on another occasion. But you didn't disappoint. Your magical witch-like, Samantha-like, bewitched. You probably don't remember that, but I did. Samantha-like abilities cleared the sky, and it was a long eclipse, about 4 minutes. I've never seen anything like it. Absolutely incredible. Will you be at the next one in Dallas?
Probably not. I think that's a little farther than I intend to.
You mean it's going to be in about 90 years, so you'll be 130?
Pretty much.
120.
Yes, I could roll out, but I maybe past my buy now date.
But very euphemistic. We'll leave that. Let's talk about what we're going to be doing in the American side of Unprecedented. Now, as you know, Sarah, because we've talked about this for months, Unprecedented seeks to be the home of free speech. We don't tell people what to think. We don't tell people what to say. We simply give them the facts as best we can establish from them. That's almost an absolute red line for us. We can't make up things. But then we share opinions, and the public can decide. How free is America in terms of its thought and speech?
Interestingly, I think it would depend upon who you ask. I am so blessed to live in a country where, freedom of speech is guaranteed. But I think if you look at the happenings of the last couple of weeks, there's a question, how free is speech? And but really, more importantly, I mean, yes, the right of free speech is protected, but there's repercussions, right, to the things that we say and that we do. And I think that's largely been forgotten. But we do live in a glorious country where we can say what we think, and
The death of Charlie
Kirk.
Kirk was quite a shock.
Incredibly shocking. I don't want to say I didn't believe it at first, but it was just really, it's just slightly unbelievable, to be shot in Orem, Utah, of all places. And then just, the news story as it is unfolded, again, reported with different slants by different people in different areas of the world. But I think that he spoke for people across every demographic, and across every part of life here in the U.S. And his message resonated with so many people. And, whether you agree with what he said or not, I think it's very telling, just the massive number of people who have mourned his passing. And it's
How famous?
A very sad day.
How famous was he in America?
Quite. He was, let me put it this way. He was famous enough that my teenagers, who, granted, they do watch a lot of YouTube, but, they knew who he was, they understood his message, and they understood the repercussions of his death. So I think he reached, his reach was just really unprecedented. Look what I did there.
I see. So I see what you did there. And in terms of his legacy, is there one?
Absolutely. I think that the biggest takeaway for people in the conversation that I hope, after like all the politicizing, falls away, I hope the conversation that continues is just really like have your own opinion, right? And he would basically just bring facts to the surface in a way that everybody could understand, but also that was just really easy to either agree with or disagree with. And we lost a great man that day.
Did you ever have the honor of meeting him?
Sadly, I did not.
And I don't want to turn this into a eulogy for Charlie Kirk. We've covered it, and we will cover it again, and no doubt we'll do a show or two about it. But is he really the martyr for free speech that Donald Trump?
He very well could be. I think as the internet and outlets, exactly like unprecedented TV, are able to, rise to the surface and carry an honest message. I think that we are going to have, more and more individuals who really have an effect on the world with just their message. And I don't know if he is the martyr of free speech. I'm very opinion based, but I think more and more we are going to have the ability just to learn and see and do and hear. And I hope he is the first of many.
All right. Well, that's him, and we'll talk about him again in the future. But down to free speech again, Jimmy Kimmel, who is one of your big talk show hosts, he actually got cancelled for what he said about Charlie Kirk. Now, in the context of unprecedented TV, we really don't cancel anyone. We believe that you can be offended, but offense is taken, not given. And I was surprised when this man ended up being pulled off air for his remarks. We don't need to go into the remarks. That's not the point. Do you think it was right or wrong for Jimmy Kimmel to be suspended? He's back on air now, at least in a limited way.
Mm-hmm. The short answer is yes. And the reason that I say yes is not that I agree or I disagree with his comments, but again, we live in a country where there is free speech, and you can't have a double standard, right? You can't not like what one person says and yank them off television, and then just other individuals on other channels, oh well, say you're sorry, or oh well, he didn't really mean his super offensive comments. I no, and the other reason being that whether you're conservative or whether you're liberal, you could applaud his being taken off television, but there's going to be other administrations in the future, and if the script switches, the very same people who are applauding him being pulled off the air are going to be lamenting when those who share their views are basically silenced. So I do not support his removal.
I have to say that's how I feel as well. I know what Jimmy Kimmel said, and you could argue it was offensive and misguided, but it didn't kill anyone.
Mm-hmm.
The disgusting murderer, cowardly murderer of Charlie Kirk, he's the killer. Mm-hmm. But I didn't think that Kimmel really did anything particularly wrong. I was surprised because I tend to think of Donald Trump as a man who supports free speech.
Agreed. I was very shocked at the immediate backlash. I'm also shocked that there are still some news outlets and distribution gurus who are just not going to be showing Jimmy Kimmel for the for the foreseeable future. So that's something that ABC is going to have to deal with. But it's I've been very surprised. I mean, the man's a comedian. That's what he's a comedian. So.
Yeah, I felt pretty much the same way as you. I just didn't think it was appropriate. But I'm not in charge of the United States of America. Before we go further, though, one of our great advocates of free speech is Tim Scott. He runs Tim Scott Uncancelled here on Unprecedented TV. Let's just have a little look at his program, Tim Scott Uncancelled. There's a clue in the name. Yeah, it's got a 1970s vibe to it. I imagine Tim Scott was right at the front in the punk rock scene. Tim, if you're watching, you can tell me next time we're talking if I'm right or wrong. But the Freedom Association, that's what he is in charge of. And the Freedom Association has got half a century of campaigning for free speech. Oh, fascinating, interesting history there. But I don't think he would have banned Jimmy Kimmel, and I wouldn't have, and Unprecedented wouldn't have done that either. Let's talk about the politics and the other subjects that you think will be interesting for Unprecedented to start exploring from an American point of view. What do you think will be the issues? I'm not asking you to share your political views particularly. I'm just wondering what would be interesting to the world, because we have a global audience. There must be something. There are 350 million of you. You went to the moon.
We did go to the moon, and we are planning to return in the not too distant future. Immigration is a hot button right now. The economy is a hot button right now. Taxes are a hot button. Jobs, home ownership. I mean, that's a really, really big, broad, pretty existential question.
It is true. But incidentally, everything you've listed there is exactly what we're moaning about in the United Kingdom. In Britain, you may not have noticed this, but I have. We have a terrible government. That's my opinion. That's my opinion, and viewers can disagree if they want to. But we have a terrible government. So I think the government seems to have messed up on migration. They've broken their promises on that. They've messed up on the economy. They haven't got things growing. They keep throwing billions and billions into unwinnable wars. I think Trump's been smart enough to think again on that. The list of problems that you described, including house ownership, they're all the same problems in Britain. You became the new world. You got independence. And now you've got the same problems that you would have if you'd still been part of the UK. What was the point?
I asked myself that quite a bit. I was let me ask you, since we're talking about just challenges that we have. Over the weekend, there was depending on who you hear from, like a pretty big march in London. And when first I heard, it was about 100,000 people, but from the pictures that I've seen, there appeared to be millions.
I think there were 1.7 million people there. That's what I think. It wasn't 100,000.
No.
I know those streets. I used to live about 10 minutes from where those demonstrators were.
Mm-hmm.
And to fill up about 3 or 4 miles worth of streets, 100 across, you can do the sums.
Yes.
For some reason, they always try to play down the numbers. Why? There are definitely hundreds of thousands, and I would say, as I say, just short of 2 million people there. That's 1 in 30, almost 1 in 30 people in Britain showed up for that. For a chap called Tommy Robinson. Why? Because they're fed up. They're fed up with the government here. They're fed up with the broken promises. They're sick and tired of the old parties. That's what's happening in Britain. Mm-hmm. But I sense it's a little bit different in America, because although Donald Trump gets endlessly criticized in the UK mainstream media, he won. More people voted than voted for Kamala Harris. Somebody must like him out there.
A lot of people like him out there. And I think for the first time in a very long time, just the conservative American voice was heard. And I mean, you can say what you will about voter turnout and, how many people actually went to the polls, but, it mattered enough that, that conservatives showed up. And, the people who live in Washington, D.C. are vastly different than the people who live in, Western Virginia, or, the people who live in, Eastern Texas are very different than the people who live in Los Angeles, but they wanted to make their voice heard. And say what you will about Kamala Harris, but she inspired people to go to the polls. And whether you like the outcome or not is matter of debate. But I'm very pleased that she is not our first female president.
Yeah, she said some really strange stuff, which I've got to assume wasn't AI generated, about the fact that she didn't want to have a gay gay vice presidential candidate. Now, I haven't checked to see if it was made up or wasn't. It was such a weird thing that I'm still dubious about whether that was fake news or not. But Kamala Harris so underperformed. It was phenomenal, really. But anyway, that's for another. Sorry, you're going to say?
I think she's been, starting to dip her toe into the idea of running in 2028, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. It'll be very interesting.
I hope she does. I hope she does stand. She's a gift that keeps on taking. Now, let's get back to the core proposition of unprecedented TV. You've got this great statue, and in the days when most people came to the United States by ship, everybody who entered that, what's the name? Is there a proper name for the bay? I'm sorry about my ignorance, for New York.
No, Ellis Island. Yes, the Statue of Liberty.
Okay, yeah, the statue. That's not the Statue of Liberty. That's Jimmy. That's Jimmy again. But I'm sure they'll get the Statue of Liberty up in a minute. Basically, all right. So the Statue of Liberty is well done, well recovered, team. Well recovered. That's the Statue of Liberty, and that is the first thing that migrants from Europe, used to see when they came to the New World. Mm-hmm. It's a phenomenal statue. Do you know where it came from? I'm sure you do.
Yes, I believe, if my history is correct, it was a gift from the French people. However, I also understand that there was a lot of fundraising taking part in Britain for the pedestal and the accoutrements. So, thank you.
Oh, I didn't know that. But you're bang on with the derivation where it came from. They say shipped it across. I have no idea how heavy that is, but they didn't break it on the cruise.
No, it was. I believe it was in pieces. But no, she's massive and she's gorgeous, and she overlooks those who come here to for the American dream to change their life, to to start anew. It's a very moving place to visit.
I wonder, and I'll leave it to you because you've the big la-di-da title, Director of U.S. Operations for Unprecedented. I'll leave it to you and to the graphics team to decide if you want to include the Statue of Liberty in some way in the branding in the United States of America. I think we're entitled to do it because we are truly liberty orientated. We really believe in the liberty that you should have to express your views. What do you think? Is that going to annoy people?
No, I love it. I love Lady Liberty. I think it's perfect.
Okay, well, I'll leave that for you because we're not a dictatorship and so forth. If you were to define your ambitions for Unprecedented TV, hopefully with the millions of viewers we will get in the US, what would those ambitions be? I'm springing this on you. I didn't tell you I was going to ask that question, but
no,
just in general terms, what do you want to do?
I mean, it's the reason that I agreed to come on and work with you. The years ago, I used to be able to turn on the news and you would see like Dan Rather or like Barbara Walters, and there was television and news that you would trust, and you could turn on the television and it was just the news. And years passed, and news became definitely politicized. And then, those of us looking for a trusted news source, we went to the BBC, and, and sadly that kind of fell to the wayside. And, like across the globe, people were searching for really good news. And it's very, very, very hard to find. And when you mentioned that you were starting the television station, that was my one hope, that really you would just have, the news. Just the news, for people to come and, to digest and really to learn. And I think that is something that is severely lacking here in the US. It's very hard just to get news that is just news. Take from it what you want, form your own opinion. Again, like as you said, unprecedented. You don't tell people what to think, you just tell them the truth. And my hope is to make that available to everyone, US, Canada, heck, we can find people to help us out, go all the way down to Mexico and beyond. But it's a really important time for people to be able to get honest news.
Well, that's exactly what I'm hoping that we do. Essentially, my feeling is that we need to be in a situation where, to put it bluntly, we share the facts and our opinions, but we don't mix the two things up. I don't hold back, and I would never, ever expect you or your US team to hold back on opinions. I just don't want you to dress them up as facts. And because there's a very simple thing about freedom of expression. You have to make one assumption, that people are smart enough to think for themselves. If that's not true, we're sunk. Let's just forget about democracy, because they can't think for themselves. They're not smart enough to vote. So you've got to make the assumption that people can think for themselves and that they're able to assimilate facts, work out what they think, and act accordingly. I feel terribly sad, Sarah, that so many people think you have to censor bad information, bad news, just in case the uneducated electorate believe it. That is not free speech. And if you and myself and our US political correspondent, John Fine, do this well, and I don't know who the other people are on your team, I have some idea, but that'll be your department. The company's too big for me to know every individual person. If you can do free speech in a respectful way, where when people say, I disagree with you, we as a station say, good, you see it differently. Come and share your point of view. Absolutely. Then we are doing something priceless.
Absolutely. I don't exactly know when it happens, but there's been a shift. Like I respect everyone's opinion, and I love it when people have opposite views, like opposing views, because I have the opportunity to learn. And I think that is that's lost. People will only tune in if they agree with the slant or the tilt or what people are saying, and that's not what news is for. So I'm very, very excited about Unprecedented, not only in the UK, but as we reach into the US.
Well, welcome aboard, Sarah.
Thank you.
To quote Humphrey Bogart, this could be the beginning of a beautiful relationship. And more than anything, I have wanted since I first conceived of this station many years ago to serve the American people. Whatever people say about the United States, we've got a lot to be thankful for. Britain couldn't possibly have won World War II on its own. And America made a very big sacrifice at the time. America did get to the moon. There are some viewers who doubt that. We went to the moon, folks. We went to the moon. I'll get an astronaut on at some point to discover that. And when you go to America, by and large, there is such a warmth of spirit. And when I came to Dallas, I just felt so welcome there. And that 4 minutes of darkness belied the days of great light that I experienced there. So last word to you before we close out. Sarah, what can we expect in terms of programming from the United States of America?
That is the $1 million question. We have been working in the background, especially with Mr. John Fine, just to make sure that we are serving. We're serving the people, but definitely we're going to be talking about politics. Definitely we're going to be talking about the economy. I'm sure we will hit immigration, and we're going to start. We'll start cranking it out. So make sure you check back and keep your ear to the ground, because unprecedented is here.
And we've got a big event planned for Dallas. Won't share what that is at this point, folks, but I'm going to go over there again. Not for an eclipse, but to shine a light of free speech on America.
Indeed.
Sarah, it's a true honor to be working with you. I'm so grateful that you chose to join this wonderful station. Okay, I declare an interest, but it is a wonderful station. More than anything, if we can serve the American people and the world's population with truth and opinions, and the respect that people deserve to be smart enough to think for themselves, then Unprecedented is doing its job. Thank you so much. We're not going to play the Stars and Stripes at the end, but you can hear it in your mind. That is Sarah E.V. Clark, who is our Director of U.S. Operations for Unprecedented. We're really going places, folks. Now, please, if you like what we're doing, subscribe. Then you'll get the notifications and you'll see all kinds of interesting things. We have some phenomenal guests coming from the United States in the months ahead. So please please subscribe and share, repost. I'm not going to sue you. I'm just going to thank you because we really want to keep building the brand. We want to keep building the television station. Why? Because the bigger we are, the more free speech is out there. That's what we're all about in Unprecedented. And America, welcome to the new team, Sarah E.V. Clark and John Fine, who you've seen before, as we make America free again. I'm Lembit Öpik. That was Lembit Öpik Live on Unprecedented TV. See you soon.
Immediate ceasefire in Gaza, the return of the sausages.